Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of the Politeracy and Governance course. Today I'm going to be your moderator for today, and my name is Godson Kelly. I'm a member of the Electoral College family, so one time as yet. So today we're going to be learning about media and information literacy, particularly on how to spot misinformation and disinformation. And of course, in recent times, we've seen how fake news and social media propaganda has caused a lot of troubles in our polity. It's a particular topic that it's very, very interesting for us to have the conversation because it's causing a lot of harm, right? So we're going to be dealing with that today, and I hope you are prepared for it. So in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to be bringing our facilitator on board. He's already in the room, but then we're going to give 5 minutes like we do usually so that more people can join. So what you can do now is to go reach out to your friends, your party members, and tell them that class has started. I think it's just about 11 persons are here. Majorly, they are the admin. So the number here is discouraging. So reach out to your friends, your party members, tell them that we're live, we're starting in the next 4 minutes. And while we wait as well, drop your names on the chat box, for attendance. Yeah, I think that will be all for now. So I'm looking forward to having more people join us in the next 3 minutes. And I hope you can be able to make that happen. So once again, thank you so much for joining and see you in the next 3 minutes. Okay, I think while we wait, we just have 3 minutes to the time we're going to start in officially. So I think while we wait, it's important for us to I would like to have one person from the cohort share the experience. I know you've had amazing experiences from the first day of the class through the campaigns, the party, and all the rest of that. So you must have learned a whole lot. And I know so many persons might want to say something, but just one person so that we use this to keep the time while we are waiting for other people to join. So one person, you can just raise your hand. What do you think you've learned? Do you want to share with us? And how has that influenced your life so far? And what are you looking forward to? Does anybody want to go? Or what was the thing that you never knew before you came to electoral college? Maybe something that a mistake you've been making, but you've been corrected here. All right, Victor Balogun. So I'm just going to allow only Victor, right? So I've asked you to unmute Victor. Just go ahead and share with us what you've learned, maybe in 1 minute.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the privilege, and good evening, everyone. Yeah, so far so good. I would say it's been a very, very fascinating journey. For me, what's really standing out in this cohort for me is the teamwork in my party, PDP. Of course, interestingly, all the team members, I don't even know anyone from EDAM. But we have related these past few weeks as though we've met before and we've had very good working relationship, and the response from the team members, from the party members rather, has been so impressive. So that's one. Then secondly, is the fact that the Electoral College keeps to time. Once it's time for the class and we just give 5 minutes interval, the class is on. So it's really, for me, that discipline has really been a very good lesson that when we agree on something, we can follow it through the course. Then the campaigns as well. The fact that it's just a pseudo election, I mean, the way my people took it, it was awesome. Mobilizing, and when we had a tie with ABGA, the level of mobilization to see that we win the AMAC chairmanship was awesome at the group level. And I mean, that's been awesome for me, and it can only get better. So I appreciate the Electoral College team for this great privilege. And I pray that God Almighty is going to empower the college for greater impacts. And I believe that Nigeria will get better even in our own lifetime by the grace of God. Thank you.
Amen. Amen to your prayers. Thank you so much, Victor. I'm so really inspired by what you just shared with us. Teamwork, time, and of course, the campaigns. Thank you guys for all that you're doing. Okay, right now, I'm going to read the profile of our facilitator for today, and then I'm going to bring him on board. So like you already know, today we're going to be learning about media and information literacy, how to spot misinformation and disinformation. And our facilitator for today is Silas Jonathan. So I'll read a brief citation of it. Silas Jonathan is an accomplished fact checker and researcher at Dubawa, Nigeria, with a degree in mass communication from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. He's also a distinguished fellow at the African Institute for Open Source Investigation, where he has contributed significantly to research on information ecosystems in Nigeria and West Africa, particularly in relation to information disorder. Silas possesses expertise in the use of fact-checking tools for verification and has conducted several consequential fact checks, earning him a nomination at the 2021 Africa Check Awards. He's a member of the World Health Organization's Viral Facts Alliance and has debunked various COVID-19 related claims while actively participating in initiatives to provide explainers and media literacy articles during the pandemic. Furthermore, Silas is an active member of the Nigerian Fact Checkers Coalition, NFC, where he has played an integral role in monitoring elections and debunking numerous electoral related claims. With these exceptional research skills and expertise in fact-checking, Silas Jonathan is an asset to the field of journalism and information verification in Nigeria and beyond. At this point, it's a privilege that we have him today with us to walk us through media and information literacy and how to spot disinformation and misinformation. Mr. Silas, you're welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. It's indeed great to be here. I'm seeing quite a number of folks have joined, and it's amazing to see the interest and the desire to explore this topic. I'm certain that this is not a new topic. We know one or two about it. It's just maybe the difference is maybe I is particularly directly my work, but I know that this is something very seen. So I really wanted to want us to open up and be a bit interactive, share experiences, and be employing. I want to also be tackling our biases, just to know what we perceive about the topic. So nice to be here, and it can be a pleasure. So I will be sharing my screen, and of course I will put on my video so that this will be more engaging. Let me first of all share my screen so that you can see. Okay. You guys, can you see the screen?
Yes, please.
Yes, you can see it.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Let me, before then, let me turn on my video. Yeah, this is my face. Still struggling to get some beard. But that's out of my, okay. Good. So we're here. Before we jump into the conversation properly, I want someone, one person, to just briefly tell us why this is important to talk about. Why is this topic important? Why is it crucial? I just want someone to just quickly unmute so we use our time wisely. You could just jump on the call and just, why do you think this topic is? Yeah, please go ahead, Maria. Yeah, jump on it, please, Maria.
Miria Kogi, I've asked
Yeah,
you to
yeah.
unmute. I've asked you to unmute. You can now go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you for this. The importance of information is, it's very important because information drives actions. So depending on the information we get, it will depend on the next action that is going to be taken. So if it's false information, then that means the action that will be taken will be in the wrong direction. That's why it's important.
Thank you very much, Mira. So basically, what you are trying to say here, what you've said is that information guides our decision. So whatever information we consume, it determines what choices we take. And that is why this is crucial. I totally agree with you at that. Of course, in today's digital world where information is readily available, it is very important, just like Maya has said, to sort of distinguish between what is genuine and what is new. But this is really becoming a little bit difficult, with the invention of AI, influx of mutated and synthetic altered information. We are seeing sort of a decadence of information reliance, which is making things rather very difficult for fact checkers, policy makers, and even entirely laymen on the street because of that. So generally, this presentation just aims to equip us with essential skills to identify, of course, spot, mis, and disinformation. We're not doing a really deep. There are other sessions I do. It's not with tools, how to debunk that, but we would not jump into that. Our focus now is how can you spot mis and disinformation? This is important because it's sort of a media literacy to open our eyes and also to help us to be able to share this knowledge, or if we have it, to just remind us of what we need to do subsequently. Yeah. So before we jump in, I want to hear from, if you want to speak, just raise your hand and then so we can be well coordinated. I want to hear from anybody the three terms mis, dis, and malinformation. What do you think they are, and what is the differences between these three terms? Anybody could just let's make it snappy. I know that. So we just, anyone wants to just anyone wants to, nobody. I'm gonna call names then. Okay. Let me just carry on. So misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. Uh, it's sort of a three word that is carved to sort of explain the information disorder. In your previous class, maybe you must have had one. So it's sort of a three-word that is under the umbrella of information disorder. In 2015, we had Donald Trump who popularized the word fake news, but to most journalists and scholars in the media, they felt that was sort of an abuse. It's sort of an oxymoron of two different statements coming together that somehow ridicules journalism. Why? How can we say we have fake and then we have news at the same time? Fake is nothing in journalism because journalism tends to bring out the truth. So if we have fake and then news, the news is supposed to carry truth. It's sort of a word that slaps the media practice. So they came and said, oh, we need a more better word that would encompass other things like propaganda, manipulated content, and then generally, which this can be classified into more professional terms. And then we came up with amidst this malinformation. So misinformation, it's sort of an unintentional mistake or sort of an unintentional message that people share with no bad intention to folks around. You know, most times it's family members, you know, they say, "Oh, do not take the salt. If you take take the salt, if you take the salt, you're not gonna die. You're not gonna feel bad. You know, take it." So this is just sort of message that people share with no bad intention. That in fact they share it because they feel that it's true and you need to know. And that is it. Mostly we notice that this usually is between close family members or friends or ties or church groups or as such. But this information, on the other hand, is more deliberate. It is fabricated, you know, with a form of an intention at the end of it. Well, at the end of the 2023 elections, the Nigerian Fact Checkers Coalition, when we came together and did an analysis of the fact check we did, we found out that we had 127 fact checks throughout the election period. We had more during the presidential and then a bit less during the gubernatorial. And when we did a classification of what kind of information spread more, we found out that it was disinformation. That is to say that there were people who intentionally were trying to either dismay the popularity of a political candidate or somehow uphold the personality of another. And this was what was more frequent even during the election, disinformation. So it could be in visual form, it could be in image, it could be in video, but not surprising, we found out that video was more in the analysis. So when you hear this information, it says someone deliberately trying to make sure that he misleads some people with a certain sort of disinformation. So it could be a video that is altered, it could be an image that is taken out of context, it could be, and we're going to see some examples subsequently. That is disinformation. Conspiracy theories too could be disinformation because somehow they will garnish it to sort of fuse into their bigger narrative. Malinformation, mostly carved out from malnutrition, mal. It's sort of saying, you know, it's sort of an information that you're given a bit of it, but not in its entirety. It's sort of, you know, say, oh, this is a bit of it, but not. Most times, this is meant with a very malicious intention, like sort of revenge porn. You know, some people revealing someone's nude photos, or just a deliberate change of context. We've seen pictures of people who were somewhere and someone picks it as this is it. So this is it could be true, but then the context is twisted. So I was telling a colleague of mine, I said, if you're in an airport, let's say in the UK, let's say you have a connecting flight from the UK to France. So if you snap a picture in an airport in the UK, but you did not go out of the airport, you just snapped a picture there. And then when you go to France, you now snapped in a restaurant or hanging out on the street and say, oh, you know, this is me. You now share the picture of you in the UK airport and share pictures of you in France. People will automatically think that, oh, this was you in France, this was you in UK, and this is the picture of you when you just stepped out. So that's malinformation is somehow dicey. We've seen an example of that, although I'm not saying I believe it or not. When a young lady was in an event And she said she spoke in the event, and people really were complicating that on Twitter, saying, no, you were not there. You were there, but you didn't speak. So this is a good example of malinformation, if that is actually true. Consequences of mis. I'm just giving a highlight so that when we delve into how to spot them, we would have a bigger picture of what it is. Consequences of mis and disinformation. Um, some of the key consequences are misleading beliefs and confusion among individuals. It damages reputation and credibility of some personalities. We've seen during for the political campaign, we've seen how a lot of things are coming, attacking one candidate or the other, saying, "Oh, this is it." Some of them are true, some of them are not. That is one thing that it can do. It can even alter people's choices. Social and political polarization. We've seen claims around the election in religious, traditional. Oh, it was so much. At some point, it was depressing. There is a potential harm to even public health. I remember during the COVID-19 with the World Health Organization, we're seeing claims around, ewedu that if you take hot ewedu soup with a good meal of eba, but you are safe. You do not need to take any vaccine. But if you take ginger, salt, and I mean of ginger and what was the other thing? I can't remember. You know, you're going to be safe. We've seen a lot of that. It could during Ebola. I mean, I took salt and water. Sincerely, I did. They say, oh, if you take salt and water, you're gonna. My mom was calling on and on and on, and then I took it. I took my bath with it. But please, this is a secret between me and you. You do not have to share it out. Yeah, this is it. This is it. A lot of people lost their life because of that. A lot of people missed out on this. Yeah, I could see. I know, right? You're cheeky on me. So yeah, a lot of people missed out on that, and people are still struggling with the effect of that. I was in Sierra Leone last 3 weeks, and a woman, there was a bit of Ebola cases in those regions some time ago. So a woman, she's still struggling with stroke because she took a lot of salt during that period. So she survived Ebola, but definitely she did not survive the mis and disinformation that went viral during the time. Yep. Let me ask this question, and I want someone to quickly tell me. I want someone sincere enough like me to be obvious to say, have you been misinformed or disinformed before? And what was the information? Could you quickly share with us? You just raise your hand, and you don't have to feel anything. I mean, I was a victim too. Please, I want someone to just jump on the call and tell us his experience quickly. Yes, please, Ezekiel. Can we allow Ezekiel to speak?
Okay, Ezekiel, I've asked you to your mute. You can go ahead. Ezekiel. Are you there?
Hello,
Oh,
can you hear me?
Ezekiel, are you there?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm here.
I
Can
can
you
hear
hear
you.
me? All
I
right.
can hear
Thank
you.
you. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Silas, for the lecture so far. So I have actually been misinformed before. I remember in school when I was doing, it was a program I was doing in Open University then. And if you're familiar with Open University, it's not the regular kind of school system in Nigeria. So there was a time when we were writing exams, and then there were some form of glitches in the system because it's like a long distance learning thing. So we're writing an exam, and then we were supposed to register for the next semester while we're writing exams. Although that's not how it used to happen, but because of the glitches, it happened that way that year. So somebody just began to spread an information that if you are still writing an exam, please don't register for the next semester because your registration will be void and all. And I took that information and ran with it, and I did not register. And it took a while for me to realize that most of my classmates registered, including the person that led that information register. That was how I missed a whole semester, and I had to now, get like one step behind them and all that. So that was one major one that really affected me.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Ezekiel, and for being quite honest. I'm really sorry about that. It seems I'm not the only person that I have struggled with sharing the misfortune. But I'm sure that now we are better aware. Thank you for sharing this experience. Okay, let's move on. What makes us believe stuff, just like Ezekiel and me, it's our confirmation bias. Psychologists say that we tend to believe things that aligns with our belief, that aligns with our previous experiences, schema, that aligns with our perception. We tend to agree more with things like that, even if they have some red flags. We may not want to look deep into them because they just align with our beliefs. Why should we look deep? Why should we look deep? But the things that do not align with our beliefs, even if they have all the truth in them, we would study, just be looking for the red flags. I was reading a book on relationships some time ago, and the author was saying, Tim LaHaye, I think, was saying that, if a woman or a man feels that his partner is cheating, and you believe it so intently, when you keep observing, you will start seeing signs, even if they are not there. You just see, this thing is happening, even if it's not there. So is that when you focus your energy in one direction, you tend to see that. So during the election period, we see an obvious fake video, and someone would say, this is true. Maybe because it supports their party or their candidate, or or we would see an image of something, and then someone would say, this is it, or this is that, or maybe a certain tribe or religion that they don't like, and they just fall into it. So for us to be able to spot mis and disinformation, we need to first of all be aware that we have our information bias, confirmation bias, that we as human beings are biased, and this informs what we do. And since we are promoters of information, I believe all of us are on this call, then it is important that we stay objective for us to be able to track this kind of mis and disinformation. So when it supports our belief, we ignore the evidence, just like you're saying in the image. We ignore the evidence, we can't see the facts, we don't care because it aligns with our beliefs. So we don't care. So yeah, so we need to be aware that we are biased, and then as such, we need to, watch out. I have a bit of a practical for us, and I want more people to speak here. Whether 1 or 2 or 4 people, I will appreciate. This is an image. What do you see? What do you see, or what can you see? What can you see? I want anybody, just feel free, tell me, what can you see in this picture? Raise your hand and you just speak. Quickly, get it done. What can you see? What can you see in this image? Anybody? I'm going to be calling names so that we get this done. I have a namesake here, Silas. Yes. Please mute Silas. Let tell us what he sees in this picture. What do you see? Yes, Silas. Yes, yeah. So we'll go with the rate. So we have 2 people now. So let's go with Silas first.
Right, Silas, I've asked. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've unmuted. Good evening, everyone. I kind of knew I was going to be called because it was my music that I was teaching today.
Sorry, I had to bring you up.
Yeah, actually, what I can see is like a face of a woman facing the left of my screen.
Is she old? Is she young? What are you describing for us?
Yeah, face of a young woman. Looks like she's wearing black and maybe has something what she's wearing has a black collar and something like that. She has black hair. I don't understand the white
No,
stuff around, but that's kind of what I can
give her
see.
age. Give her age gap. And do you think she's
Um,
pretty?
yeah, she looks beautiful from this perspective. She looks like she would be beautiful from this perspective. And let me say she's between 16 and 25.
Oh, description. Thank you very much,
Yes,
Silas.
thank you.
Who is next? Please, I see that a lot of people are placing their hands. Let's just go with the queue quickly so that we don't waste time. Samuel, let's take Samuel, then Jovit. If I murder your name, forgive me.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Oh, good evening, Samuel.
Yeah,
What do you see?
just like Salah said, I also see a lady, a young lady, a damsel, who has a, let's say, who is having a scarf on or something like that to tie her hair or something. Yeah, a young lady actually with just something covering her hair at the back.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Can we take Jovita then Farid? I want to hear someone with a different opinion. It seems your eyes are just the same because I see what you're saying. Yeah. Jovita then Farid.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So what I can see is an old man with a mustache,
All right.
like his mustache is it's more than normal. So that's what I
Yeah, I
can
can.
see.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Who else? There's one person. Let's move. I want to hear from the last person. Jovita. Okay, let's move on then. I didn't see. Thought someone wanted to. So, you could see that this is just one picture, but a lot of people have different perspectives to it. This just confirms that we see things differently. This image is from a book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. It really changed my life about how I see things. It just says that we can't see things from the same perspective, and we should always be aware of that. That's why we have different religion, we have different tribes, and we should learn to, be open and listen to others. This just confirms our confirmation bias. Someone told me he saw a tree out of this picture. Someone said he saw an old woman. Someone he said he saw Adolf Hitler. I mean, a lot of point of view from that, but this just confirms that we see things differently, and I'm glad that we all see it in this perspective. So this is a very good example. Uh, Examples of confirmation bias is not seeking our objective facts. We don't want to even look closely interpreting information to support our existing beliefs, only remembering details that uphold our belief, ignoring the information that challenges our existing belief. I do that. I know I do. I do that sometimes. Yeah. Keys to spot mis and disinformation. Keys to spot mis and disinformation. Number one, you have to check the credibility and reputation. So this is just a question: say who and what is the situation. So who is sharing this thing and what is the thing? So you need to question that. Some time ago there was an information that was going viral last 2 years, I think, or last year, that that a ship from exporting stuffs from Nigeria is caught in China with 7,200 of human penises, like male genitalia. So that the Chinese authorities have seized it, and this is coming from Nigeria. Or It was on the news. Many people published it. Then I was shocked. I believed it at first. Then in the evening, I was watching NTA and I saw the Senate House were deliberating that, oh, human mutilation is a serious problem in Nigeria. We need to do something about it. I even called one House Rep member who was leading the whole thing. He said, yeah, it was the news that prompted him to sort of influence the bill, and action should be taken on folks who are into mutilation and stuff like that. We need to. And the introduction of his bill came from that news. So I was asking, who made this news? Where did it come from? When I started checking, I found out that it came out from a satire websites that just publish really cool things and make people laugh. And a lot of the China and Nigeria there has been changed so many times. It's in Kenya. In Kenya, they will change the name to Kenya. So the news has been there already since 2015, and a lot of it's not true. A lot of people have been, and when I called the House of Revelation, so it felt so much. Yeah, but still, but yeah, that is one thing. We didn't check for who, and we didn't even want to know what. What is the situation? How is that possible? Because 7,200 human penis means 7,200 men. Then from where? How? Then still you need to look for signs of biases or hidden agendas. You need to look for signs for bias. I know we are all open to politics here, so we would know that sometimes some messages may appear true, but they are so biased and they have some hidden agendas. This is you trying to find the answer to why and how. How is this even possible? What are the things that makes this thing, ask these key questions. Ask these key questions. Who is going to benefit from this message? Who is going to lose out of this information? You need to bring out yourself out of the bias and then look at who and why and how. And then lastly, you have to cross-reference your information with reliable sources. You have to, when you see an information on Facebook, some time ago they say, oh, I saw a news last year, it said Obasanjo dead. I will say, Obasanjo, oh, this is really unlikely. So I check on Twitter, I saw that it's not trending. I said, but Obasanjo is someone that likely should trend on Twitter with his gone. We saw Dr. Pacey and we saw rest in peace. We saw that he was really trending when he passed on. But it wasn't, I went and checked news headlines, Obasanjo, nothing. When I said, let me read the news deeper. I just saw that, oh, it was Obasanjo, Adekunle Obasanjo, a worker in the airport who had an accident. It was not really Obasanjo. So yeah, but many people thought it was Obasanjo. I thought it was him. So yeah, so we need to cross-reference, check other sources, find out if this is really true. And there is something I do. If you see a bulk message or if you see a broadcast message on WhatsApp, always do this. Copy the message, paste it either on your word process or anything. Copy the first paragraph, open quotation. Put it on Google search. Just do open quotation, close quotation, put it inside. Then put plus. Open another quotation, paste the last message, the last paragraph of that content, and close quotation, and then search. When you search, you would see findings of some of where these things have been. You may even see it on a website in India, or you may see that it has appeared somewhere in old. What does that do? Is that it digs up wherever that content has been, so that you will know where the source is. If some parts of it were altered to fit into the context of Nigeria, you would see that, oh, this message has been. So open quotation, close quotation, you put it in and then like that. Before we move on, are there questions, please? I have a question briefly so that you don't forget. Just raise your hand in the question that you want to ask. None? Okay, let's carry on. No question. I'm reading the chat box. And that was it. Yeah, so this is the one. I wrote complete analysis on it. Nigerian Parliament fooled by satire website on Chinese export to China. You need to read it. It was so funny. I mean, yeah. I when I called the house representative, he said, how did you know? Yeah, yeah. The Nigerians who do not want to take the truth, even if it's glaring. So what is the next thing? The next thing, you have to examine the content. Just like I gave you example, when you see something on WhatsApp or in Telegram, pick it from the group or wherever it is, just paste it and then pick it and do that. I'm sure you will see whether it's true or not. If it's on the news, it will come up. So examine the content, analyze the tone and the language used. Analyze the language and sometimes you will see that a news report it's allegedly a news report, but it seems to be targeting some people or some group or some sect or some person. You would just be seeing that it's just, there's no objectivity. It has no even glare of fairness. You see it like that. So watch out for things like that. Look out for sensational or exaggerated content. Look out for sensational or exaggerated content. For example, you would see that, I'm looking for sensational or exaggerated content. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw an exaggerated content where someone said that if you stay awake all night, COVID-19, that don't sleep, like Linda, who did the cooking hackathon, do, like, you don't sleep, just stay open, eyes open all night, and you're gonna be, eyes open all night. I mean, I thought that was like tricky. Anyway, so of course, sensational headlines, we've seen it. A man, a man marries 10 wives in 2 weeks, things like that, to gain attention and attraction. So also assess if there are logical fallacies or inconsistencies. Like yesterday, we saw a trending the CBN they've officially devalued naira in relation to dollar. I saw it on Instablog. I was, wow, that was the headline, CBN devalued. But when I started reading the content, they know who said it, where the source is, it wasn't very logical. There was no assessment of why or when, who made the statement. And then also classify the content. Is it a video? Is it an image? Is it an audio? Classify the content. You have to look, if it's an image, you have to look closely. Is there some portions where there is altered? Is there some skipping in the video? Is the audio clean? Has they blurred some parts of it? What is the audio? Is the audio, audible? What is the context and the content of those things, those content? And then look closely for altercations. I just said it. Is there a weird or unusual facial expression? Is it, how does it appear? Because we have deepfakes these days, a lot of deepfakes. And fake videos, when you go to our information space, you will see that a lot. So yeah, you need to, watch out for that and then look out for. For example, this is an example of a breaking news. Came to me an exaggeration. To me an exaggeration. Say, oh, if Russia doesn't calm down, Nigeria is going to intervene. When Russia came out, I saw this. When someone shared with me, say, oh, that's why I like President Buhari, is action driven. When I checked it, I see that actually, when you look at the picture closely, you will see that there is no really, whether it's CNN or whatever, nothing. When I checked online, I did not see any headline like that. I was at some point I was happy. I said, oh, Nigeria, we're finally going to do something. But I thought that was a long shot at the end. We have some issues domestically. We didn't even solve them. I thought that was a long shot. But yeah, it was fake news. It wasn't true. And then I found out at the end. So you see, this is a good example of an exaggerated or sensational headline that comes with a flair of emotions just to make people believe. So if you have a confirmation bias like me, who wanted to see people intervene for Ukraine, you wouldn't want to, you would say, oh yeah, this is true. And of course, people were sharing it in their statuses and like that. I want someone to quickly share an example of things that you've seen like that. Just quickly help me share one more example of a screenshot that you have seen like that. Or not just screenshot, any sort of exaggerated or sensational content that you have seen, or that you realize now that it was somehow fake. Who is there? Okay, please, Maya, jump on it, please.
The Pope wearing a jacket, or what's this? A very classy jacket.
Yeah. What when you saw it, what came to mind? Did you believe it? Have you been planning or praying to see the Pope in a different stylish way? What went to your mind? I want to know. Quickly, Mira, I want to hear your thought on this. Mira, are you there? Are you there? Okay. No. Okay. The Pope in a cool jacket. I saw that. I think I wrote a fact check. It wasn't true. The picture was created using a. Can you folks hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, because at some point I'm thinking, oh, this who is this dummy floppy just making noise in his room alone? Okay.
Miriam, are you still trying to speak? If you are, you can unmute and speak.
Thank God. Okay, thank God. Oh, all right. Sorry, I had a. Oh. Okay. So yeah, let's move forward. I think we will. So the third thing, what do you do? The third thing is evaluate supporting evidence. And in spotting mis and misinformation, it is important for you to determine if there are credible sources cited. So many times you see a news report and you read through, and there is no single this thing. They would say, oh, Tinubu to share 20,000 naira to Nigerians. You just see, oh, good news. Tinubu is going to be sharing no thoughts, nothing, no event. What event? Where did he set it? Consider those. And this is why I always say consider the 5 W's and H, the why, the what, the where, the when, the who, and of course the how. Always ask when you see something, look into it, ask this question, and you magically you would be able to find out some things about it. And then to assess the quality and relevance of the evidence presented. Even at that, you need to check up, is this possible? What is okay? I see Mira is raising her hand. Is she? Are you? Okay, great. Let's move on. Then assess the quality and relevance of the evidence presented. You need to check. You know it.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
The host has to unmute me. So when they don't unmute me, I can't speak. That's why I've been delaying. Yeah.
Okay, I want to hear from you now. When you saw the Pope in the jacket, what came to mind?
Well, I just felt it was that was unusual. It was unusual. So, and I saw everybody was posting it, and I wondered why that was very, fascinating for them that he was wearing that jacket. But then it kind of gave the vibes of a cool Pope. Anyway, I know I didn't, I did not think too much about it, and then I later found out while trying to know how to identify AI generated images that it was actually a sham.
Oh, great. Yeah. Meanwhile, thankfully for all of us now, there is a tool that you could just put in a picture and sort of analyze if it's AI or not. I will drop the link to that if you care for it later. And
Thank
then
you.
yeah, so thank you for sharing that honest this thing. I mean, who wouldn't want a cool poke? Yeah, but, don't mind. So again, the last point here, be cautious of cherry-picked or manipulated data. That's what we just talked about now. AI images taken out of context. You have to be able, something I realized about spotting misinformation. If you truly put your bias aside, your gut will be telling you that this thing there's something off about. Listen to your guts. Move on. Also, this is another example that I was telling you about, that Ewedu cures Ebola. Ewedu leaves cures. Oh yeah, that was a bit of a distraction. Sorry. So this thing went viral. A lot of my Yoruba friends were so happy that all I need to do to get my mole of what's that, swallow, and just drizzle it with the soup, and I'm okay. Yeah, I need to rush so that we could have questions and conversations. Also, number 4, consider the context. Consider the context. Assess whether the information fits into the broader context. What is the context? Is this really, does it fit into context? Because a lot of times we see how people carry information and just take it out of context. So ask this question: does it fit into the context? What is the possibility that it fit into this context? Who is going to benefit if this is true or false? Then be aware of any potential misinterpretations or out of context quotes. Evaluate if the content aligns with established facts. You have to. So if I say Buhari is the best president Nigeria has ever had, there are some parameters, and best is it's not it's a very indefinite statement, but there are some parameters that would measure that. So you have to look at what makes a president effective. Who are those that are considered effective presidents around the world? What have they done? Sort of a comparison and find out that. So this also goes down to the 5 W's and H I've mentioned earlier. When you see an information that you have the guts that this is not somehow true, ask the question. Ask this question: what, where, why, when, who, and how? What is the information about? Where did it really happen? Why are we seeing it now? When did it happen? Who is going to benefit from this? Who is going to fall from this? And how? How did this thing happen? Who am I going to ask? Where am I going to check for more facts? This is a picture that we saw went really viral. I remember my cousin shared with me and said, "Oh, this wall, even freedom fighters have some bedroom demands." So this is a picture when Nnamdi Kanu was arrested. Some people shared it online and said, "Oh, you could see, when you look closely, you will see that something is off about the picture." Some people said that, "Oh, this is Nnamdi Kanu. This is how he was arrested. He was frolicking with another woman in Kenya, and she was used to arrest him." But it wasn't true. This was the picture. The other hand is the real one. A man was, in the true narrative, a man was caught with another woman, who was pregnant, and her husband was expecting her home. This was what happened. But you could see how it was so twisted and unstuck. So if you don't look closely, like I said, you will see that the picture is somehow really off. For the one for Nnamdi Kanu, if someone is caught in an action like this, you would expect more. And you can ask the question: is how is this true? Is the security so open now that they would share pictures like that? Yeah. Yes. Someone asked, "Can we get this? Can I?" Yeah, of course, I will share the slides with you. I would have loved eventually if we can have a session on the tools. it's something I really enjoy sharing because there is a lot, and I really want people to keep. Yeah, maybe subsequently that's a whole session, and we would have a conversation maybe, and then we would, yeah, if it's something relevant. Yeah, I know that Godson would make sure that it's something. Yeah, yeah, that's my idea. So sorry, I want to. So yeah, also pay attention. Some fake information that are allegedly fake. Usually, when you see an information that has so much emotional language in it, pay attention to it. Pay attention. Usually, you would see that it lacks some truth. You would say, "Oh, 500 people killed in the east. Oh, the Nigerian government is so evil." Not saying it wouldn't, like, ooh, a pregnant woman slaughtered to death by a police officer. Oh, you gotta look so emotional and so catchy, you wanna, oh, this is bad, or what a world we're living, exaggerations and hyperbole, I mentioned later. Look for exaggerated claims and statements that seem too good to. Yeah, Elon Musk is building a hotel in Aba. He wants to shift part of the business to Nigeria. Oh, Bill Gates is now creating an AI machine that can do massage for men. Oh, this kind of things. There was a time someone said, "Oh, there is a ring now, an AI ring, that an AI ring that couples can now wear and be monitoring the movements of their partner, stuff like that." Look out also for bias or one-sided views. Very, very. I've seen a lot of that during the election. A lot of people were sharing things like that. Yeah, it could be true, but remember, mis and disinformation sometimes is also about the intention. If the intention is to cause chaos, we need to debunk that as much as we can. So yes. Also, one important thing that people tend to forget: when you see poor grammar and spelling in all these WhatsApp broadcast message, in all these blogs, when you see, the writing, look at it. Even on Facebook, people just write, just this is a big, big turn off. This is saying, oh, this is really, really, you should watch out for things like this. And then I don't want to, this is a good example of someone said, oh, during the Hilda Bassi, someone shared this and said, oh, Hilda has received a Guinness World Record and she is so happy about it. I found out that the picture was created by Dapsy. Who knows Dapsy here? So the guy who created, if you know Dapsy, just raise your hand. There is a guy on Twitter who uses Photoshop to create fake images. I'm really tracking him a lot. So I found out that he was the one that did that. You could see at this morning when I woke up, I saw Hilda Vasi tweeted that she has not received the certificate. That in fact there is sort of process that they're still on, and she isn't happy about it. So yeah, this is not true. We found out that it's not true. This is a real image they ever had. So if you can spot it, it is your responsibility to also verify it. So how can you do that? We have you have to verify the source, check the credibility of the author. This is just a brief overview of what I've said. Cross-reference your information. You have to consult reputable sources, check other information being fact-checked, investigate images. Of course, there are tools for doing that. Interestingly, reverse image search tools to verify authenticity and more to and then critical thinking. I always tell people you've got to have some critical thinking to critically analyze and weigh issues that happen. Key takeaways from this is, educate yourself, stay informed. Every morning when I wake up, I just check the headlines, or I read the news, or just to know what's happening. I take Twitter, what are people talking about, just so when I go out, I know because sometimes you don't want to be in that awkward situation where somebody says, oh, so Hilda Bassi is I say, oh, Hilda Bassi, it's a footballer, so you do not want to miss out on that. So always try and follow the trends and stuff. You have to remain responsible, share responsibility. So think twice before sharing, verify its accuracy and consider. So do not fall for your bias, always look for it before you share, look for some facts before you share. Be a responsible consumer, question your own biases. Actually seek diverse perspectives to avoid echo chambers. Encourage media literacy. Please reach out to your folks, your family members, stuff that please, this is what we know, and you shouldn't, just share information without. Report and flag misinformation. We'll be having back and forth meetings with Facebook at the IFCN conference in June in South Korea. We're also going to have a lot of meetings with them on how they can respond to people's demands about fake misinformation when you report on Facebook, so they can, or on other social media platforms, even. And then on social media platforms, we're notifying on social media platforms, or it's the same point anyway, same point. It's my mistake. Or notifying reliable source. I'm just trying to rush so I don't bore us, so we can have a conversation on some of these things. It's the end, but not the end. 40 minutes is crucial in today's world. Of course, it is. We've talked about that. By understanding their differences, recognizing the red flags, and employing fact-checking strategies and promoting digital literacy, we can combat spread of information. Together, let's strive for a more informed and critically thinking society. I really want us to do that. We all that, because Myra said in the beginning that the information we consume will determine the choices we make, and I thought that was a good point. So thank you for listening. I'm open for questions, suggestions, and recommendations and additions. Thank you very much for listening. You've been wonderful. Oh, Farid has a question.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Silas Jonathan. That was a very eye-opening class. So guys, how we're going to do it is, once you have a question, raise your hand. I'm going to call you according to how you raise your hand. And maybe for some reasons, if you are not able to, unmute yourself to ask a question, maybe because of where you're in a noisy background, you can just drop the question on the chat box. Then I'm going to read it out from there, and our facilitator will do justice to it. Right. So let's call on Farid. You can go ahead and ask your question, Farid.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Farid.
Okay, so thanks for the lecture. It was interesting. Now, my question is, these platforms that go around sharing these kinds of misinformation, like the bloggers and the social media accounts, to the point where the Nigerian House of Reps even carried it and was misled in the Nigerian parliament. So if they were to reprimand these people and actually hold them accountable, how would they, how can we cut off all these platforms from operating and spreading misinformation? I'm trying to think of how I can phrase the question, but I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Absolutely get what you're saying. What you're saying in essence is, now that we are aware that their websites are sharing this kind of thing, how do we stop it? I mean, I don't know if that's in a simple time. Now that how do we, because they keep putting out and misleading, to the extent that So what happens is that it's a satire website. They have a disclaimer. They used to say, all contents here are not factual. They are merely created for fun. In fact, satire websites are backed by law to do what they do. What happens is, when people start to copy the thing out, and they copy them out, and they start pasting them other places without the disclaimer. I read satire websites sometimes just for fun, just to laugh. There are satire plenty like that. And then if you have, we're working with Google now, Google Initiative. So I'm glad that you brought up this question. So Farid, glad good question. So when you see a website like that, now we are compiling all the links. If you see the ones that are sharing misinformation without a disclaimer, or all these kind of blogs that we have in Nigeria that I shared, you can just share the link with me, or you can just contact I think most fact checkers in Nigeria, we have that. It will surely be reported, and they will take them down from Google. What do they call that? From Google Archive. If I'm not too far away. Yeah. So good question. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Next question.
All right,
I don't know.
thank you very much. Mwaburu Emeka Christian, I've asked you to unmute.
All right. Thank you so much for the very well delivered lecture. I just want to ask, seeing that misinformation can really be very, very dangerous, considering what happened during there was this infectious disease, it was an epidemic, and then somebody said something about drinking salt water, and then a lot of people died from that. I think it was Ebola. Yes. During the Ebola epidemic. So I want to know, considering the dangers of this misinformation and then the freedom that social media gives to individuals, is there a way to curb fake news without infringing on the right of individuals, right to speech of individuals? Like, is there a possible way to do that?
Thank you very much, Emeka, for this provoking question. Sincerely, we've been having round table conversations with social media giants and a lot of rubbing minds how. But sincerely, the side of what we stand for from the media perspective is that we do not want regulation. We do not want regulation. But we want what we want is a sort of algorithm check. We want all these social media platforms to regulate. I don't want to use regulate, to sort of flag off fake information. Facebook is has accepted they're doing something now, not fully well, but so when you see an information on Facebook, you would see they would say, oh, this has been verified to be a fact check. Be careful, they just flag it up. But we want more of that. But sincerely, there is no cutting edge where we could say we would always infringe on people's rights when we say that. And then I want you to keep this in mind. We all know that there's a quote that they say, oh, fake news travels faster than the truth. So because fake news travel faster than it attracts traffic. It attracts traffic and people want to see more. And when there is traffic, there's more profit social media companies. So if there is a commodity called fake news that is giving social media giants more revenue, more funding, more profit, we're seeing how they do not want fake news to go entirely out. That is why we're doing media literacy. That is why we are having this call. That is why I know that you're going to share this knowledge subsequently with others. But this is the situation right now. Thank you very much, Emeka, for this question.
Okay, I'm not sure any other person wants to ask a question. Here in the chat, yeah, there is no question. Okay, Silas, you can go ahead and ask your question now.
Yeah, I'm back again. Good evening, sir. Thank you for the very insightful lecture. Two things. Number one, can we define malinformation like absence of complete facts to information? Because if you say it comes from like malnutrition, it's like incomplete facts, and people take those informations and run with it. Then the second thing is what's the role of National Orientation Agency in this country? Shouldn't they be the information, the forefront of giving the right information? If bills are passed, they should help the populace to understand what the bill is for. If government policies are going to change, they should help orient people on what the government policy is going to achieve, what the aim is, and all that. What's their role really in this country? Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much, Silas, for this robust question. Yes, in fact, you've defined it in a more simpler than I have ever heard. Yes, malinformation, that is what it is. Yes, it's sort of giving it, but not all. Yeah, Perfect. Yeah, we can define it like that. So I have I'm trying to answer the second question. For the past 2 years, I've been training. We've been in collaboration with NOA, and I've been training a lot of government officials in charge of communications and media literacy. I think I've had like almost 15 to 20 sessions yearly. Yearly, I have that. And we sometimes do it in the hall, or we do it in the Army Research Center here in Abuja, just to see how we can. So yeah, I've had this conversation with NOA, and one of the challenges they have is funding. Funding. They say that in the past years they have been looked with so much lackluster, and this is undisclosed information, but I believe it's a safe space. They've not been given more funding because they want to not just deliver this fight misinformation, but they want to deliver it in different languages and different dialects, even in a more way that really relates to the local people. But the funding that they've had little funding, and this is a big challenge. This is what they've been saying, and yeah. So they have admitted they've not been doing optimal, but I know that they can do a lot if they have the funding to do that. So yeah, that is one of the problems here. But they are supposed to do that. Yeah. Thank you for that question.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Pamela, I've asked you to unmute.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. So I know that you have spoken quite extensively on disinformation and misinformation from the part of the populace, but I also know that there are times where the government itself would make a statement and say, for example, they did not do something, yes, and then 3 days down the line or a week down the line, they backtrack and say, oh yes, they did that thing, and then initially even the populace knew that what was said was false, and then they are carrying on with that statement, and then the government turns around a few days later or when time has passed to retract that statement. How do we balance when the populace, I think that's the essential question, how do we balance when a group of persons know the truth for what it is, and then it is now the government that is pandering the propaganda? Do you get my point? Thank you.
So what a big question here, because now you're saying that, we talked about mis and disinformation, folks share. What if now it's the elephant in the room? It's the government. What is if it is coming from the government? What if it is? So sincerely, I have people have asked me this question, and this is what I am doing. So I'm not going to be a false prophet and just tell you something and fact checking. See, we need, in fact, one of the priority of fact checking is to fact check the government particularly. I enjoy fact checking the government, and I want more people to do it with facts, not just emotions or opinions. Let me give you an example. On the official Facebook of the Nasarawa state government some time ago, last year, they shared a picture of a road. They said that the road, they did it in one community. Very big, and I was skeptical. And I said, this thing looks up for me. But a lot of people were commenting, good, you're doing great, governor, and stuff like that. So I and this is not because of political party or I don't like him. It's just for the fact, like you mentioned, And I went there. I got some money. I went there to the local community. I found out that the road is not there. In fact, the pictures of the road is from Brazil. When I came back, I did analysis on the image. I found out that the picture of the road was from a construction in Brazil, not there. And when I put out, a lot of people started saying, "Oh yeah, it's true. I know this place. This is not a road," and like that. So I think what we can do is to be more readily available to debunk any fallacies that the government is making. We're going to make them more responsible. Two, we're going to make them more accountable. So we need to do, and I don't want us to do that with opinion. I want us to do that with fact. That's where we're having this conversation. So yeah, anytime they make those statements, try and make a fact check out of it, or just try and get the facts. You can tweet the fact. You can, it all depends on your, gusto and the, they may come after you. Don't know if that is a fake answer to the question, but that's how I see it.
All right, thank you so much, Pamela. I hope that answers your question. So we're going to take Dr. and then, yeah, Dr. Hamidu Abdullahi. I've asked you to unmute.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Electoral College, for giving me this opportunity. My question is twofold, although you have answered part of it. What is now the role of the citizen in terms of misinformation and disinformation and fake news? That's number one. And number two, what is your take on the digital rights? Because at the end of the day, you see that some people will be arguing that, see, we have so much fake news around, misinformation around, why can't you do something about dealing with this issue? And then what they will always come to their mind is, why can't you ban this, ban that, and the rest of them? So what is your take on that? And thank you for following me on LinkedIn. I'm the one that sent the material.
Yeah, I see. And we need to link up for our conversation. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. So good questions. Good questions, Doc. Good questions. What is the role of the populace as a fact checker, as an information disorder strategist and researcher? One of the things I know very well is that disinformation cannot flourish without virality. It needs people to reshare. It needs people to forward. It is not mis and disinformation if many people don't see it. It is not disinformation if it does not mislead many people. One thing that always the public needs to do is to be careful what they share, regulate what they share. You just don't share based on your emotions. You just don't keep sharing and making things go viral. That is it. So what we need from the public and how the public can fight in this is to stop, reflect, rethink before they share. Stop, reflect, rethink, and then share. We say that a lot. Just to have this understanding that not all information is consumable, not all information is shareable. So if the public will, just reflect on what they share, not just based on their bias, because when you look, you will see that a lot of people share because they think that, oh, this supports their belief or supports their candidate, supports their religion, supports their tribe. So people should not be biased. People should not just reshare information. Without virality, there is no misinformation. And then your second question, digital rights. Oh, digital rights is a very, very big conversation. A lot of people say that digital rights is so closely related to expression of freedom of expression and the privacy. In fact, that is one of the cross section of why regulation is not coming in. There are countries that have some regulations in that, but I have to tell you, Doc, that I am not. I feel that people need. People have their digital rights. People have their rights to privacy, and the only way we can fight this battle is not through regulation or stopping it entirely, but through media literacy, through some of the work that you've been doing yourself, particularly enlightening people, doing a thorough research to show effect and impact of some of these things, just to create awareness. If people are aware, they can use whatever technology they have in a very good way. But if some 2-3 people feel that they can control or bring out rules to guide millions of people, then we're gonna have an anarchy because 2 or 3 people are now controlling what others are saying. That is why the idea of what you should and what not say online is now becoming really challenging, because then where does a common man has a voice? Yes, so I will just stop here. Anyway, yeah, but it was a good question.
Right, thank you so much, sir. And Dr. Hamidu, I hope that answers your question. And yes, for me, I think I also align my thoughts with your thoughts, sir, because for me, I think it's not really possible to control fake news completely, because that might mean that you have to start controlling people's mind or start infringing on other people's right, people who don't spread fake news. So the whole thing is just on your own, just decide that I'm not going to engage in sharing fake news, because for me personally, I try to link these things to my own reputation. So before I share information, I must verify and I must make sure that it's coming from the source that it's supposed to come from. If I don't see it from that source, I'm not going to share it. Because fake news is very dangerous, all this propaganda. And it's even more dangerous because even the government are part of the propaganda and the citizens. So sometimes, even if we say, okay, let's go through the social media, guys, maybe to control it from the back end, you don't even know what is fake news. If somebody comes and say, okay, this road, maybe a government official comes and say, we've done this road and it's now motorable, and people from there are saying, it's not done. The social media guys from the back end do not really know these things, whether this is fake news, so they can't really differentiate. So it's very difficult to actually fight it. And I think what we have to do is just to agree that is here, and maybe critical mass education, like telling people, talking to them, using our platforms, people understand that before you share a news, please verify the news. Make sure it is coming from the direct source that is supposed to come from before you share it. So that's also my opinion. And thank you so much for the class. It's really been eye-opening, all the things you've shared with us. And I'm really looking forward to more engagement with you and all that. Thank you.
Oh, it's a privilege. I have added further readings on the document. You will see on the slides. There are further readings. If you have time, you can just read through. And my contact is there. If there is more questions or conversations that you feel you are not have not answered quite well, we could have a conversation. Personally, we could set up meetings and just have short time and just rub minds on some of these issues. Yeah.
All right, that's okay. That's great. Thank you so much. So guys, there are links to further readings in the slide, so you can decide to go check up, read more about it, and probably you can be an ambassador to stop fake news from your little corner, right? So from here, there is no other thing. Lisa, I don't know if there are more information, Chaya, that we need to pass, but I think this is where it ends for today, and we have another class tomorrow, same time, same platform. Lisa, over to you. I don't know if there are other informations that you need to hear. Thank you. All right, I'm not sure. So guys, thank you so much for today's class. Thank you for engaging. Thank you, Mr. Silas, for a very, very, very insightful, wonderful class. Thank you everyone for making today's class a success. So see you guys tomorrow evening, same time, same platform, where we'll be looking at another topic. So from here, it is a good night and have an amazing weekend ahead. Bye everyone.